You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ MV Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. We have a special guest in the building, and today is her birthday.
Madam President is here.
Madam President, happy birthday.
Yes, what a great birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, it is pretty exciting.
What, about 44 today, 45?
Yeah, that's about right. Let's just stop there.
All right.
But even on your birthday, the work never stops because obviously this is a really critical time for you.
It is. It's so critical. We have 2 weeks left, a little less than, and we've got to just keep charging forward. People are great across the country. Actually, more people have registered to vote than ever before, more than 200 million people.
Wow.
Which is great. And that includes 50 million young people.
Wow.
So I think that's a good sign. I really do.
I've been watching this election, and one narrative that I'm shocked that's not being pushed more is the fact that this is a historic time. Like, you are a woman. And that's not being that's not being celebrated enough. It seems like when Barack ran for president, the narrative was he's a black man. They're not really pushing that with you. Why do you think that is?
Well, I'm not exactly sure. I think part of it is, people are trying to figure out what that means, and most people are okay with it, but some people are still having questions about it. And I'm proud to be a woman running for president. I'd be just incredibly humbled and honored to be the first woman president. But I have tried to emphasize to people that, hey, just like President Obama was a really good president, and the fact that he was black, I think, was historic and unprecedented, but he also claimed and owned his excellence. And that's why I'm saying, okay, I think it's really exciting and historic that I would be the first woman president, but I got a lot of work I want to do. And I hope that people will say, hey, she's getting it done. That's how I think about it.
Are you excited to see younger people involved in politics? On the way up here, I was driving with my daughter, and she was like, I don't understand why people would vote for Trump. He's a jerk. She said jerk. She's going to get in trouble for that later. But she's like, he's a sexist.
Why would you punish her for telling the truth?
Well, not jerk. She can't use the word jerk, but he's a sexist. He's a racist. And they're starting to learn. And she's only 14. They're really getting into politics young.
I hope that young people, and I love the fact your daughter's talking to you about this election, will understand that every election's about the future, which by definition means it's more about the future of young people than it is about me. Here I am, 44, 45, it's not the same. So I want young people to be involved, and I especially want young people to vote. I'm excited when I go to events and somebody comes up and says, I'm going to give you my first vote, or this is my first time to vote. But I don't want it to stop there. I know that young people have I can remember a lot of other things going on in your life, but I hope that people will stay interested in the issues in this election, because I'm going to try to get everybody who makes less than $125,000 in their family, which is the vast majority of people, to be able to go to public college or university totally tuition free. And if you make more than that, debt free. And so I can't get that done unless young people are out there really demanding it. So I'm going to be asking for help even after the election.
Now, one thing I always tell people is that I love the people that you have working on your campaign. A lot of the young women that you have actually have inspired me and made me see, okay, they always say Hillary is so responsive to everything that we have to say. That's why we like her. We tell her something and she really listens and she wants to make things happen.
Well, I really believe being a good listener is important for anybody, and particularly for somebody who wants to be a leader. But I'm also really lucky to have the kind of people I've got around me. I've got such a great group of predominantly young people, but so diverse, and they bring different perspectives to the table. They will tell me exactly what's on their mind. I don't want people who just tell me what they think I want to hear, because that doesn't do me any good. So this is an exciting campaign for me because of the now not just hundreds of people, but thousands of people who've worked for us.
Now, whenever you're debating, well, through the 3 debates, did you ever look over and be like, why am I debating this guy? Like, he's not a politician. He don't have the experience I have. Why do I have to prove to y'all America that I'm a better candidate?
And sometimes I feel like it's a lot of things that have nothing to do with anything, like just a lot of petty insults. And I'm like, what does this have to do with the issues that we care about?
Well, amen. I mean, that's more of what I feel like. I'm sitting there thinking, what is going on here? We've got incredible opportunities as well as some big challenges. That's what we should be talking about. And I am debating someone who is the nominee of the other party. So they chose him, and I have to accept that. But who isn't ready to talk to me about what's the best way to make college affordable, or
Right.
what are we going to do to, really reform criminal justice from end to end, or how are we going to deal with the epidemic of gun violence, or what are we going to do about prescription drug costs. I've laid out plans on all of this because that's what people have talked to me about. And it was hard even getting some of those important issues into the debates because of the way that, he wanted to talk about, as you say, so correctly, insults, not
Right.
issues, insults.
Well, let's
We
dive-
saw you flip them off. They caught a picture. Hold on, I got the picture.
There's a picture?
She did it nice and on the low.
That is the problem with being on TV.
Oh my goodness.
I would watch the debates and say, how does she keep her composure?
Yeah, I don't know how she keeps her composure.
And not go hard.
Let me see
Because
the picture.
Oh, I gotta
Well,
pull it up. got it in
I
somewhere.
really did pay attention to what Michelle Obama said at our convention.
Right, when they
They
go
go
low.
we go high.
While he's
and
looking
I
for the
kept
picture.
reminding myself.
While he's looking for the picture, let's talk about gun violence. It hurts our community so much. Recently I was in an incident where somebody shot at my vehicle. How do we get these guns off the streets?
Well, I mean, what you just said is horrifying, but it's become like matter of course. I was, in an incident and somebody shot at my vehicle. This is a public health epidemic. It is the number one cause of death for young African American men, more than the next 9 causes put together. It also kills 33,000 people a year. And some of those are suicides, and some of those are terrible accidents, and some of them are killings, murders. So here's what I've said. The first thing is we got to make sure we try to keep guns out of the wrong hands. And I want comprehensive background checks. I want to close what's called the online loophole and the gun show loophole. I want to reverse this terrible law. President Obama and I were in the Senate together. We voted against this, but it passed because the gun lobby wanted it. And it was to just give like a free pass, no liability to gun makers and sellers. And so we've got to have a really concerted effort. And the sad part is a vast majority of Americans agree with everything I've just said, and a big majority of gun owners. But what happens is the gun lobby whips up people and makes them believe that President Obama or we're coming for their guns. Well, that's ridiculous. And he said it, I have said it. But we do want to save your life by keeping the gun out of somebody who shouldn't have its hand, right?
Absolutely. Now, this is the picture.
Oh, come on.
This is right after he called you the nasty woman.
Did you see his
With the
password?
bird. Come on now.
No. That's her middle finger.
Oh, that looks like the bird a little bit.
That's nice and subtle, though. I like
That was
that.
nice
I'm
and
going to
subtle.
start
Very
doing
subtle,
that.
So subtle I didn't know I was doing it. But that's okay. Well, you are observant.
Now, I wonder who planted the seeds in your mind that said you could be the first female president. Was it somebody like Shirley Chisholm or like?
Well, I mean, think about Shirley Chisholm, who I was privileged to meet and watched as she fought to become really the first woman that even had a chance in a major party. She really set the stage. Another great New Yorker, Jerry Ferraro, who was nominated for vice president. I took my daughter to meet her when she was 4 years old in 1984 because I was so thrilled myself that she was on the presidential ticket. So there have been a number of women in modern history as well as going back further. I never thought I would actually run for anything. I thought, hey, I am focused on advocacy, and I wanted to work for the Children's Defense Fund, which I did right out of law school. I wanted to work on policy because I think it really makes a difference. Every time I meet somebody who's been affected by something I worked on, I feel like, yes, that's what I want to do, or children's health insurance program, or making drugs safer for kids, or helping more kids get adopted, whatever it might be. And it wasn't until 1998 that I ever seriously thought about running for office. And I didn't make up my mind to do that until 1999, and then I ran for the Senate. It was really hard for me. I've said this before. I look at somebody like my husband or President Obama. They are so natural. I mean, they are fluid. They've got the moves. They can just go into a room and really capture it. They've got charisma. It was a lot harder for me. And part of it was to go back to the question that was asked earlier. We don't think about women being leaders. And so what is the kind of model that you have? And there aren't very many. I mean, you can look at women around the world, but We haven't had a woman president, so it really is like making it up as you go,
Right.
and then trying to learn from your mistakes, trying to figure out what the best way to go forward is.
Now with Bill's going to be the first man or whatever. Every first lady
man.
has a passion project, right?
Yeah.
Like Nancy
Right.
had the Just Say No campaign.
Right.
Michelle Obama had the education thing. Like,
Right.
what is Bill going to do?
Well, I've asked him to work on trying to bring more economic opportunity into places that have been left out. You know, he did a lot of that when he was president, but we have inner cities, we have rural communities, we have Indian reservations. We have places in our country that really have been just forgotten.
Right.
And I would like him to work with the government, work with the cabinet, to come up with ideas about what we're going to do. And there's a great proposal by Jim Clyburn, the congressman from South Carolina. He's the highest ranking African American in the Congress. He has something called 10-20-30, which is saying that 10% of federal funds should go to 20% of the communities that have had longstanding poverty for 30 years or more. And I love that idea because, you know, there are places that are thriving in America that don't need very much help, and then there are places where people feel so discouraged and so left behind, like nobody cares about them. And I want to try to help there. And he can be a big help.
Will he do any decorating?
No, I hope not.
Guard, got you?
Now, another thing that we've been talking about a lot, obviously, is the police brutality and how the police interact with our community. What are some things that you think we can do to improve those relationships?
Well, that's one of the highest priorities that I've had throughout this campaign, because you're right, it's something that we have to be honest about. We have to face up to systemic racism. We see it in jobs, we see it in education, we see it in housing, but let's be really clear, it's a big part of what we're facing in the criminal justice system. You know, African American men get arrested, charged, convicted, and incarcerated far more often and for far longer for doing the same thing that white men do. So for me, that is just fundamentally unfair. That's against American values. So I'm going to do everything I can to restore trust and build back those bonds between the police and communities. I think we're all safer when the police respect the communities they're supposed to serve and the communities respect the law. So we got a long way to go before we're back there, but I've been working with a really broad range of people, including yesterday in North Carolina, I was with some of the mothers of the movement, including Gwen Carr, Eric Garner's mother, and she's traveled around with me, and I've gotten to know her and the other mothers pretty well. They're mothers who've lost children through police incidents or through gun violence. And she said something that, boy, really made a huge impression on me. She said, you know, after Eric died, she thought to herself she couldn't get out of bed, and then she almost heard God saying to her, well, you need to get up and do something to honor him. And so she's been going around talking to churches, talking to community groups, and she said, look, we're going to turn our sorrow into a strategy and our mourning into a movement. And so that's what I want to see. I want people to come together and listen respectfully. We need better police training. I think there should be national standards on the use of lethal force. I think one of the big problems we've got, and police tell me this, is most police don't know how to deal with mental health problems.
Right.
And so we need better mental health response. I don't think the police, even if we train them, can be, you know, as good as psychologists and psychiatrists and others knowing what's happening to somebody. So we've got to have a more coherent, comprehensive approach, and it's going to be one of my highest priorities. And
I
I'm
always
going to
felt
bring
like
the community together.
I always felt like police officers also need to work in the community, like do some
Yes.
type of mandatory community service so they know the people
in the community for a
in the
little bit.
areas
Yes.
where they live.
Right.
And,
Absolutely.
And so that way
agree.
you have that familiarity and it's not a fear
And there's fear on both sides.
for both people, right?
Yeah, and the best way to break down that fear is to spend time with somebody. Put
Absolutely.
yourself in somebody else's shoes. Understand what the other person is going through. And I'm going to try to, you know, really steal some good ideas. I've been talking to people around the country who've been doing that kind of outreach and bringing police into the communities. I met a great young man. You guys should have him on the show sometime. He's a barber in Charlotte, North Carolina, and he started a program called Cops and Barbers. And he started bringing police officers into the community, meeting with people, and then he would have discussions in his barber shop, and he'd try to get people to understand different perspectives. He even went through some police training so he could get what they see and understand what they feel. That's what we need more of.
Right, in a non-hostile situation.
Absolutely. Yeah, where people are actually looking for the opportunity to get to know more about each other.
Now, a lot of black people feel like Democrats just give them a bunch of empty promises, and you get our votes, and then disappear once you get in the positions of power. What do you say to them?
Well, I certainly don't think that's true for most of the politicians, most of the Democrats I know. When I was in the Senate, I had 8 great years working with the community on a range of issues, trying to deal with problems that people brought to my attention. That's certainly what I intend to do as president. I think that's what President Obama has done. You know, he's made the White House really the people's house. People feel like they're welcome.
Well, we saw him dancing to Drake the other night.
You did you?
Yeah.
Did you not? Well,
Yeah, in the White House.
I'll tell you what, he can do it, don't you think?
Yeah, he can move a little bit. Yeah.
And we see you got Jay-Z doing a concert.
Yes, yeah, Jay-Z's doing a concert, and look, I'm thrilled to have this support because I think one of the biggest jobs that I will face, assuming everything goes well, is how are we going to heal all these divides?
That's what I was
And-
going to say, because Trump's supporters are really nasty, and you got to fix that.
Yeah, you got to bring the whole
You got to
country
bring
back
the country
together.
back together.
I knew you used the
How do
word
do that?
nasty.
Or maybe run them back into hiding where they were before, which is fine by me, too.
Well, I think there's something to both of those because what Trump has done is to make it possible for people who have racist and sexist and all kinds of prejudices and bigotry to put them right out there. Now, I'm not going to be able to wave a magic wand and change everybody's thoughts. You know, that's something that can only happen by people working on themselves and being held to account by, you know, the rest of us. But what he's done really unleashed a lot of darkness and divisiveness. And we've got to say, look, you know what? That is just not acceptable. We're not going to sit here and accept that. And people, when we do humor, when we make speeches, when we're just talking to our friends, everybody needs to have a little bit more of an attitude. Hey, you know what? We can't say that about somebody else because,
Right.
you know, that can create a real repercussion, and somebody's going to be saying that about us. Everybody needs to be part
No
of that.
locker room talk here.
No
Right,
locker
no
room
locker room
talk.
talk.
Yeah, and none of the rest of the nastiness and the insults that have been part of this campaign. But I think then the other piece of it is I've got to figure out some way to encourage these kinds of conversations at the local level. And they got to be honest or they're not going to do any good. You know, somebody needs to say, look, here's what I really feel. And you can say, okay, well, why do you feel that way? And let me talk to you about it. And I think if we put our minds to it, we could make some progress.
Now, you mentioned humor. Do you take time to laugh at what's going on? Like, do you watch the SNL stuff?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
They're pretty funny, don't
Yeah,
you think?
You think they did a good job
I
with the
do.
debate?
I think they did a great job. I mean, it wasn't hard to make fun of those debates, and they did a great job. Yeah, we try to find something to laugh about every day.
Do you look at the memes?
Some of them, I do.
Do you look at them?
This is a
Sometimes I do.
Oh, gosh.
Let me see.
Well,
Let me
do you
see.
see
Which
this
guys,
one's,
one?
it's social media.
which one's
Right, do you
coming
see
up?
this one?
Yeah.
I love that, actually.
This is a good hip hop meme, right? Because they said every debate. So one debate you dress like Tupac, one you dress like Suge Knight, one you dress like Snoop Dogg. Was that on purpose? You a fan of Death Row Records?
Well, you know, I think Death Row and a lot of other fashion sources have
Okay.
influenced my look, don't you?
All right, got you. And this one became a shirt. You with the Yankees hat on.
Well, there's a story behind that.
Okay, talk
Okay.
to me. Because I heard you a Cubs fan.
I am.
All
That's
right.
my National League team.
Okay, y'all in the Super Bowl. I mean, the World Series.
Yeah, we're in the Super Bowl.
You
Yeah,
just like
World
the hat.
Series.
right?
World Series,
Cleveland,
yeah.
World Series. So when I was a little girl, my father was just an incredible fan of the Cubs, and we used to watch every game.
Okay.
Every game we could watch, and in those days, games were on in the afternoon because there were no lights in Wrigley Field, and they just kept losing. And so I said to my father, I was like really young, like 5, 6, but I understood there was a difference between winning and losing. I said, you got to get a winning team.
Let's
And he
switch.
said, well, you can't. You got to stick with the Cubs. I said, okay, well, I'll stick with somebody who doesn't play the Cubs. And I couldn't be a White Sox fan because, that's like being a Mets or a Yankees fan.
Right.
So I started looking at baseball cards and talking to kids. I said, the Yankees always win. So I'll be depressed about the Cubs and I'll be happy about the Yankees. That's how I balance it out. So
You were a
that's what I did.
politician back then.
Well,
so I started talking to the kids.
I was a
Hey,
baseball. I was more of a baseball fan than anything.
This is dope though, because this is very New York. So the meme is, it says, "I need your votes, dead ass," because dead ass is New York slang.
Right.
Yeah.
Along
that's
with
good.
Tim's.
Well, gosh, I think that was when the Yankees came to the White House. That was a long time ago, unfortunately.
I don't remember.
Yeah, but I went to Michelle's 50th birthday party, and Beyonce performed, and that was great dancing.
Pronounced it right.
Yeah.
Do you dance when you go there? Do you dance? Do you dance?
I,
Do you know how to dance?
look, here's how I would describe it.
Uh-oh.
I love to dance.
Okay.
Period. And so any chance I get, I will dance. I'm not sure that it would, be anything that you'd be saying was good dancing.
Okay.
But
You don't do the robot and stuff like
no,
that.
I'm not a robot. I don't do the robot stuff.
right.
Yeah.
Just making
No.
sure.
But I love to dance. And when we were at the White House and years since, we've had a lot of dance parties.
Right.
Just because I love the way people just kind of lose themselves.
Right.
They
Yeah,
get
yeah.
so relaxed and everybody enjoys what they're doing. And, I keep telling people I want to close the deficit. And one of the deficits I want to close is the fun deficit.
There you go.
Not fun.
We got to close the fun deficit. I'm sick of all this meanness. And why don't these people who support my opponent go out and have fun dancing? Do you think they dance?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we need a big national dance.
I'm with you.
I think we got a special guest coming.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Now, it is your birthday,
Today's
so
her born day.
there's a special guest.
We got a surprise. We pulled some strings,
Yeah.
Okay, actually, we had nothing to do with
No,
it.
we had nothing to do
we're
with
just
it.
happy
but we'll
to be
take all
here.
the credit.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stevie Wonder.
The legendary
Legendary
Stevie
Stevie
Wonder
Wonder.
is here.
Wow.
At the Breakfast Club.
That's right. Woo.
He got on a jacket that looked like 2 Chainz, designed it. He looked fresh.
Can you see it? And we can see it says Pres Clinton on it first. Woo!
Yes, sir.
First women president.
First women president.
I love it.
That's amazing.
I love it.
That's one of my most recent concepts were design. So, but people said, "Why do you want to do it?" I said, "I want to wear what I believe."
There you go.
There you go.
So here we go.
That's dope.
I'm really excited to be here, and I'm excited to support someone that I've had such great love and respect for years. So it's very exciting, and I think that, truth be told, I think we as men, we have had our chance to work it out. It's time to let a woman do it.
There you go.
They've been working it out in our life all these years, from our grandmas to our moms to whoever. Like, why not?
Exactly. There you go.
Say that.
You got these 3 young people here, Stevie, are really energetic and
Stevie Young himself, he looked like 2 Chainz from the back. Yeah. With that jacket and them braid.
That's right.
He's my father. Yeah. Well, speaking of millennials, I have my youngest child is 1.
Wow. Go ahead, Stevie.
That's
what I like to hear.
So she's gonna be voting for your daughter when she becomes.
oh no.
Yeah.
How many kids now do you have?
I have 9.
Go ahead, Stevie. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how many are of voting age right now?
We have 5.
Hillary won all the votes.
I want.
She's
I
like,
don't want to wait. I don't want to wait.
Yeah, we have. Well, actually, 5 that can vote,
Great.
and they're going to vote the right way, which is for you.
Absolutely.
What's one of the main reasons you want to vote for Senator Clinton, Mr. Wonder?
Well, because contrary to what people are saying, you can't go by what people say, but by their spirit. And when she talks about the things that she's done for far longer than just the 30 years that she talks about, I think since she had in her spirit what she received, from her father, from her parents, the lessons she learned, to understand that we have to be respectful to one another, that we have to have pride in not just one people, but all people, that we have to truly become a united people of the United States of America. Absolutely. And divisiveness cannot make that happen. Disrespecting one's ethnicity or their religious preference, on and on and on, if they have a disability, is not anything that has to do with when we talk about democracy, equality.
Their gender.
And we can't live in a place of fear. You know, fear is what puts dreams to sleep. And so I think that first, you know, law and order comes from having respect for one another.
Absolutely.
You know, you can't just have it one way because you've got the power. The power has to be in your desire to see everyone thrive.
Absolutely.
That's so beautiful.
Now,
It's a we
Senator,
thing.
That's what,
Now that's beautiful. Now, Senator, they attacked your health.
Oh,
and,
yes.
and we've been here for the last hour and a half, and you seem healthier than a mother. Like, I mean, you're up and down, you're laughing, you're joking, you're talking about partying.
We had a dance off.
We had a dance off up here, you know.
Really? Without the arpeggio?
Now, explain to the people your health, because they've seen you coughing. They seen the one incident where they thought that you fainted. How is
I
your
heard you
health
was
now?
taking shots with the firefighters at 9/11. You had a little drink. That's why you
You
little
know
stumble.
everything.
Yeah, that's all it was. That's
you
all
get
it was.
around. I'll
Yeah,
tell you
yeah.
what. Yeah. Well, you know, it's so funny because I spent, what did I spend? 4.5 hours debating Donald Trump in 3 debates, which I think should put to rest any questions about my stamina.
Absolutely.
My ability to
And that's gotta be
do
draining.
this job. That's exhausting.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. But it is, you know, look, it's something that Stevie has not only just said, but has represented his entire career. I mean, respect for each other,
Right.
love and kindness, things that I've tried to talk about even during this campaign. Don't tear other people down, lift people up. And that's what he's done for decades. And it's what, you know, I'm going to try to do, not in song, thank goodness, but what I'm going to try to do as president. I want people to feel that I've got their back, that they can count on me, and that the door's open, the table is set for everybody, so that nobody feels like, hey, you know, I'm a lesser person. And it's that place of fear. It does kill dreams. That's exactly what fear does.
How do you avoid taking cheap shots at Donald Trump, though? Because he's such an easy target, and he takes them at you. How do you avoid not doing it?
Because I try to remember what's at stake in the election. I don't want to get into an insult fight with him. I want to try to counter what he says, because a lot of it is mean-spirited and would hurt people, you know, cutting taxes even more on the wealthy and corporations. That's not going to help anybody except the wealthy and corporations.
Not paying your taxes
And
at
not
all.
paying his taxes at all. So I try to counter what he says that might have an effect on somebody, but I don't want to get into some sort of back and forth on insults, because, you know, that just drags everybody down.
Right.
And he's negative enough. I don't need to add to that.
Right.
That's how I feel about
When
it.
they go low,
We go high.
Now,
That's right.
one last thing I wanted to ask you. It seems like people do want some type of radical change right now. What do you think needs to be changed? And I'm sure you're preparing for the White House now
Right.
as we speak. But what are some radical things you think need to be done?
Well, I think people do want change, but we want to make sure that the change will actually help people. And that's why I reject the change agenda that Trump has. It's dark and it's divisive, you know, deporting 11 million people, you know, talking about law and order, calling, you know, every group of people in America names, talking about cutting taxes on the wealthy, feeling like he can bring more nuclear weapons in the world. I mean, everything he's talked about is a form of change.
Calling women Miss Piggy.
Yeah, Miss Piggy and slobs and all of that. But it's not the right kind of change. So we need to have an economy that works for everybody, not just people on the top. And we need more good jobs. And that means we've got to start educating young people, you know, starting literally in the first 5 years of life, making sure that every kid in every zip code has good teachers and good schools, making college affordable, helping people pay down their debt. I really feel strongly that we can make change for every person, and it will be radical in the person's life.
Right.
And it will enhance their prospects for their own future, but not by, you know, overpromising and creating conflict. I don't think we need to do that. I have to make my case, and I have to get people to stand with me to get these programs passed through the Congress. But I really think there's going to be an opportunity to do that, because what we've seen from Donald Trump has been so negative that nobody wants to be associated with that.
Mrs. President,
Madam President,
Madam
there you go. There you go,
President.
Mr. Wonder.
I want to just say this truly to everyone. Here is the truth. I'm living a life. I have 9 children. My youngest is 1.
We know, Steve.
Okay. My oldest is Aisha. She's still, all my children are my babies. They're our babies. So the thing is, we have, the truth is, we have to, as American citizens, stop thinking that this life that we're living, the things that we're dealing with, is some reality TV show. This is real life, real children, real situations. Gun violence is real. People don't come back. A lack of communication between citizens and policemen is real stuff. Disrespect is real stuff. We have a marriage of people of various cultures coming together. It's not a joke, it's real. So if we don't prepare this nation for the positive of what we have been promised, then we'll never see it. And to me, the only way we can get there is to vote for Madam President Clinton.
I have no problem with that. Absolutely. Now, Stevie, we got $40. Can we get a song?
We even got $40.
You know what? We got 40. That's all you got. Well, you know what? Why don't you keep your money? Keep your money.
It's her birthday, Steve.
I'll tell you what you do.
It's her
We're
birthday,
gonna
Mr.
celebrate.
Wonder.
Y'all have to join me, okay?
Drop one of Clues bombs.
It didn't make much sense. That would be a law against anyone who took offense at a day in your celebration. Honor in our minds. There ought to be a time, sir, we would set aside we love you, so let us all begin.
Hey.
You know that love can win. Let it out, don't hold it in. Sing it loud as you can.
Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday.
Go out and vote.
There you go. There you have it, Stevie Wonder.
And that was less awkward than Mary J. Blige singing at you.
Hillary Clinton, we appreciate you for joining us. We look forward to the next time we see you. It's going to be in the White
She'll
House.
be Madam President, and we'll be in the White House.
in the White House.
That'll be true.
We're holding you to all those promises, Hillary.
Absolutely. Yo, and I will be doing a show.
There you go. Don't do.
Stevie Wonder.
He's been there before.
You know what?
Don't change.
I'm so excited because I know that there will be a continuation of making the world more accessible
Yes.
for people with disabilities.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
And speaking of accessible, don't change your number on us once you become president.
You won't.
Madam
You
Clinton.
won't
Madam
be able to
President.
get me.
Okay.
Don't worry, you don't have my number anyway.
It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
The Breakfast Club. Every weekday morning. Tune in.